Your phone. Yeah, we'll grab your phone. Good afternoon, everyone. How's everybody doing today? Fernando, how you doing?
Oh, wonderful.
Are you doing wonderful?
Oh, totally.
Yeah? All right. Well, that's nice. Okay. I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute. What is that? What are we looking at here? We're looking at an AR. That's what we're looking at. We're doing some data testing. We're doing some more finalization beta testing today.
Yeah,
for iData. This is the new RCA1 cable that we've been talking about. It's finally here, and we're putting it in a 2019 F-150. This is what it's for. We're super excited. The firmware isn't totally set up yet, so we're doing some beta firmware stuff to get it to work, which is fine. It's perfect. I'm excited. Remote turn on output. There's a loop here, so you connect this guy to here, and then you get your remote output here. It's just looped here in the harness for that. But what we want to show you is the output. So there's 6 channels here. Only 2 of them work, meaning 2 pairs, because this just has front and rear output. The RCA1 cable is going to be for multiple things. Could you grab your phone? Do you have your phone in your pocket? So he'll get his phone. While he gets his phone, I want to show you what this looks. Oh, there he's got his phone right there. Perfect. All right, so let me turn this on. I'm trying. Here, you do it. Okay. All right. Connect up our lightning. We'll play our Ken Ward Educar Test and Tune app. You might have to, don't play yet, because you're probably gonna have to go through the setup on the radio. Oh, excuse me. It's just touchscreen. Yeah. It's a touchscreen radio. You ever seen one of those? Yeah, they're pretty cool. Hit, yeah, there you go, that one. Yep.
Here?
Yep, press that.
Oh my god.
I know, right? It's like magical.
What?
Uh-huh.
Holy moly.
Mind blown. Mind blown.
So that I'm able to play my...
Yep, go ahead and do it now. Yeah. Play your test and tune. Go to pink noise. There's
my god.
Turn the volume up. No, up. That's down. Up. There you go. Turn it up. All the way. Go crazy on it.
All the way?
Yep, let's go all the way.
We're
all
not
right.
gonna blow on the speakers?
We're not gonna blow any speakers. So this is what we got coming out of our radio. Oh, sorry. Let me try to do it non-glare. We have a wonderfully flat signal. There it is. So the F-150. And so now all we have to do is plug our RCAs into 1 and 3. And that gives us 4 channels of variable voltage. And by variable voltage, I mean when he turns this down, all right, so just he's gonna do that. So you see what he's doing there. Now we'll look at this, turn it back up. So as he turns it up and down, it goes up and down. And we want this right here, this nice flat response. So that's that. So this is good. Mark, rock on. You guys will be able to do this real soon with your F-150s or Fords for that matter. Pretty much any Ford for that matter that has any radio.
Yeah.
You can currently do this with a DSR-1. So this is already available for the DSR-1. You can do this, but this new RCA1 cable is opening up a much bigger door for us to just do it on any amplifier we want. Or any amplifier. It doesn't have to be a DSP.
Just waiting for the software.
Yeah, so once they finalize it.
Yeah.
Yep. Now let's take a look at Fernando's door over there. See what we got going on.
Can I turn it off?
Yes, you can turn it off. Thank you. So that's pretty cool. Easter. Everyone wants to know, what did you do for Easter, Fernando?
I stayed home.
I thought you went jet skiing.
No, we went to the beach.
And froze your butt off.
Yes, that was cold.
It was cold for us.
Yeah.
60s. We stayed home. Haley made me do an Easter egg hunt with her. I had a blast. She hid the eggs this year and I had to go find them. It was really fun. And then we spent the rest of the day watching TV, finished watching season 2 of Doom Patrol. We all got our COVID shots on Friday and Saturday. By we, I mean me, Sue, and Haley. And the two, Sue and Haley, really, it kind of hit them hard. I felt kind of weird, so we just decided we're just gonna chill at the house and relax.
Not risk it.
Yeah, because they were all just Well, anyways, Fernando is adding some sound treatment. Is Marklin in the house?
Marklin is in the house. What's up, Wayne?
ATL, Marklin. So what we got going on is a pair of the Ford Flex FEX. What differentiates the FEX from the FEs is this guy right here and a big crossover that I'll show you in a minute. Now, this is getting what we call the Basic Plus, 2 sheets of roadkill in here, fast strings, which he hasn't done yet, but he's got the sound treatment almost finished. There's the fast string. The back side of the fast string is on. You guys have seen us do that a lot. But this is what's going on. For the rear doors, we did the Ford plug-and plays. So that's what's going on in the rear. Front, FEX, Flax, yay. Coming over here, the tweeter mounts are already made. We did all the laser work this morning. So here's our tweeter mounts for those. It's our standard clamp mount. The grill is just sitting on there right now until we're done. Then these will just come right off. But we like to keep them on there until we're ready so they don't accidentally get scratched or dented or anything like that. But that is your tweeter. Nice, pretty. The door panel, where's the door panel? Is in the back, right?
Door panel is in the back, sir.
So the door panel got the Focal logo on it. So we went here with the Focal logo. So that's that. So that'll be nice and ooh, shiny, right? Cool. And then one thing that we did a little different on this one, because it's just getting the basic audio control, is we did this on that last F-150 last week, but it had a taper to it to match. I really like the way it turned out. So we redesigned this for this older body style. So this is gonna sit right here where it does, instead of the skinny one that we'd been doing. So now we have a bigger one, so it'll sit like that. And this is your subwoofer level control. And then one other thing we did is instead of lasering the 5-star logo here into the ABS, I was already lasering stuff, so I just made our standard ABS acrylic plaque that'll just sit right there. Now these are the other things here that make the FXE special, is that it has the bigger biampable crossovers. So these are nice. And then for power, we're getting a D4.800, the LC 1.800, 0 gauge, both runs. And then, so we're in the process of getting this all wired up. One of the questions you guys always ask, how do we get these the right length? Like this RCA to that RCA, because it's a little bit longer than it needs to be. So we use these, which are the Stinger, oh, hold on. It's called the X12 line. We use these, and in this case, they're cut to length. So you cut them to length, solder them together, and there you go. Dean, do you need LGDs when using the DSR1? No, you don't. You don't. You're good. Yep. I asked about that the other day when we were doing the LGD video, and I talked to Mark about that, and he was like, no, you don't. I said, okay. That's their official response. I am perfect with that. So yes, that F-150 got 5 started. What else am I missing? I think that's it. We're trying to move this along, and because we obviously do this one enough that most of the pieces we've already had, we changed the bass knob, we added the 5-star logo to the plaque. So for the most part, I know it seems like we do an awful lot of F-150s, but we try to make them all a little bit unique and a little bit different, even though it's kind of hard to. So it's fun there. It's like a wine color, so we went with black. If it would have been blue or silver or something like that, I would have made that 5-star logo that color. But yeah, so you can kind of see that wine burgundy color that it is. It's kind of pretty. Okay, so puzzle pieces made, right? Yeah, I know. It's the little things in life, as they say. Tonight, always remember to turn off your tools. There's your tip for the day. Turn off your tools when you're done using them so your batteries don't go dead. Nothing sucks worse than going to grab like a DD1 and forgot to turn it off, although that has a auto turn off built into it. Thank you, Tony, for coming up with that one. But like some of these other tools don't, and you'll go to use them and it's like, Oh, man, that one takes like 3 AAAs. So it's like, who's got 3 AAAs or double A's laying around?
Make sure you turn your soldering gun off.
Oh.
Because people can burn. You know?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'll tell you what he's talking about. So here's my soldering gun here. So it sits here when I'm using it. And when I'm not using it, I put it here. And then I forget to turn it off. So I'll lean up against the counter, or he'll lean up against the counter. It's like right here. So it ends up, you're like, ow, what the hell? So we do that a lot. Are there any episodes coming up on a Mustang build, Dean? Thanks for the good stuff. There will be, yes, there's going to be a bunch of videos on the Mustang. It's just we're having to finish up a couple things that we have to do before we can get to that. Trust me, I want desperately to put those in. LGDs needed a 2020 Tacoma non-amplified. It'd probably be a good idea. I would definitely put LGDs on a Tacoma because, yeah, the blue ones would probably get you by just fine. But dual battery setup, best place to wire in a voltmeter.
Okay.
I would wire them up at the battery, and you may need a diode so that the other battery doesn't interfere with it. I'm trying to think how I would do that. No, you couldn't use a diode because that wouldn't work. I know of. Because I know when I'd use a switching relay, the big 200 amp switching relay, I would just wire one up on either side of that, and then when I would toggle off the switching relay, I could get an accurate read on both batteries, because that would separate the two from one another. See, the problem is that no matter what you do, the batteries are going to feed into themselves unless you have a switching relay that can turn off the two communications between the battery, or the two, when they touch each other. So it's really not going to matter if you're not using a switching relay of some kind, or what is called now an isolator, but it's not. Any videos on setting amp gains with the DM810 and aftermarket head units? No. None of those. And the reason why is, okay, when you're the nice thing about a DM810 is it has an RTA built into it. What you're going to want to do, like if you watch the beginning of this video, we showed you what the RTA output of this radio is now that we put the AR in. It's perfectly flat. When you're doing an aftermarket radio that doesn't have that, you really need to look at that RTA first and figure out where the EQ, factory EQ is. All right, so turning it up and making it sensitive enough so that you can see that is going to help you able to set the gains. Because, everyone wants to use standard 1000, standard 40. If it has bass roll off, 40 hertz might not exist very loud. If it has an EQ, 1000 hertz, there might be a dip in 1000 hertz. So you kind of need to get an idea of where that EQ curve is, and then you can start setting the gains from that. So at that point, you'll see it, and you can use the RTA to set the gains. All right, that also has a clip light built into it, so you'll be able to figure out, visually what is happening as you're turning the gains up. And if after you DEQ it, that's fine, but it's the signal that's coming in that you got to keep an eye on. How to connect an LOC converter. We have plenty of videos on those. Where do you set the knob on the LC2i when tuning new all the way up? Gain knob, your bass knob, you're going to play with the bass all the way up, and if you're doing any form of overlap on your system, then you want to make sure that the bass knob is turned all the way up. A lot of the times what manufacturers will tell you to do, because the bass knob is just a 0 and down, is unplug the bass knob, because that way you don't accidentally set your gain structure up with the bass knob plugged in and accidentally turn it down. So most of the time, like when we're setting this up, like with this is getting the audio control bass knob, we're going to unplug it when we start doing some testing, because it might be down. I might turn it up, he might have bumped it, so it's just easier to make sure it's all the way down. Any bad reviews on the Dayton DSP to this present day? No, but here's the thing. I saw the SQ for Dummies on Facebook. Someone got upset because I had said I don't like that. And that's understandable, because if you're not on my team, you suck, is just a thought process that exists in this world. If you don't like Pepsi and someone offers you a Pepsi
sucks.
The Pepsi sucks. Like Fernando just drinks Coke. Pepsi, he would just drink water. I'm an iPhone user. If you're an Android user, well, I suck and you suck to me. So there's a lot of, if you're not on my team, you don't suck. It just doesn't have to do with sports. And, you know, if you bought a product and I said I didn't like it, it's not the end of the world. It's just my opinion. I've tested a lot of pieces of equipment, and it just happens that way. Now, I can appreciate wanting to own new stuff, and where this is going is Thursday night on Hi-Fi Vegas. I got a surprise for you guys. So we're gonna talk about this more in depth on his show, because I feel like this is where it all started from. Although I have blatantly said how I feel about that DSP for like 3 or 4 years now, like about 3 or 4 years. Yeah, I mean, when we had it, we ended up giving it away. And so we're going to talk about it more on that. But here's the cool thing. We're also going to give one away. So I went ahead and ordered a Dayton DSP on Sunday. And I paid extra, so hopefully it'll be here Wednesday. If not, hopefully it'll be here early enough Thursday. And so on the show, while we're talking about some of I have a product I'm going to bring in. I'm going to tell a story like I often do. And we're going to talk about things. But we're also going to be, I don't know how we're going to do it yet, but we're going to be giving away a Dayton DSP to somebody that needs it. Not just anybody. It has to be somebody that needs a DSP, that is wanting to learn about DSP and is new to the game. So I bought it. We're going to give it away. So yeah, somebody on Thursday is going to be rolling out with a brand new Dayton DSP. Whether I like it or not really doesn't matter. It's just that's what we're going to do. So Fernando thinks I'm crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but you know what? Hey, it's whatever. If your love for car audio means all you can afford is a Dayton DSP, then rock a Dayton DSP. What's that?
Buy something else.
Buy something else. So that's the plan for Thursday. Sorry, Sync 3, but more especially the BO setup. I didn't see the first part of that question. Since you guys are undisputed F-150 S-Berks, any thoughts on the Sync 3 Kicker sub amp upgrade from the factory? So you're talking about the Kicker VSS system. The VSS system was designed to be installed by a car dealer, not a retailer. We have access to them, but typically you will not find somebody like us putting them in, mainly because we can offer you something better, more in depth, for a better price. Those are made to put into a car and upgrade it from the factory, as it were. So like if they get a whole bunch of F-150s on the lot, or Chevy trucks, or any of those, and it's cheaper for that dealership to install that than to buy the premium sound system, then that's what they'll do. If you have a BO system, that particular system is not made for you. It's made for a base model vehicle. If you have the BO, you're going to want to get the Zen A to B and then build out from there. Opinions are very much like that. However, some of those are cuter than others, I guess. So we can't really, Coke over Pepsi all day long. Hey guys, greeting from South Africa. Hey, what's happening? Potato. Exactly. But on reverse layer, Dean is gonna light a Dayton DSP fire. I am not gonna light it on fire. No, definitely not that. But I am gonna be giving one away to somebody that needs or wants to. Like I said, I don't know how we're gonna do it yet, but somebody's gonna get one of those. And hey, in the comments that someone had made, it's a lot of people's first DSPs, and I would agree with that. It is a lot of people's first DSPs. And it's definitely not a lot of people's last DSPs. My only argument is that if it is your first DSP, realize that you paid $150 for it. There are better DSPs out there, and don't let that be the benchmark for quality. And be like, I'm out of this. This thing, this just put a bad taste in my mouth. I don't like DSP. that's kind of the thing that irritates me more than anything else. Not whether you're gonna, you know, rock that one. Opinions on Sound Digital 1200.4, the gray model, not the new small ones. I have not played with the older gray model. All we have is the newer one, so I can only talk about what I know. Awesome, Dean. Thanks a ton for excellent explanation. Much appreciated. You're welcome. A Coke is 100%. What load resistor will you need to integrate in a Sony 3 system? You'd want the blues, but however, like we were talking about, okay, if you have a Sony Sync 3 system, you may want to look at AR as your solution. So this is the AR system that we're testing now. This firmware will hopefully be out very shortly, because what this does is this takes this 8-inch Sync 3 radio and is reprogramming it, and now they have the RCA 1s out. And what this is allowing us to do is if you rewind back to the beginning, you'll see how we're getting a perfectly flat output out of this, no load resistors needed. What is available today, right now, that you can do is a DSR1. So if you buy the DFO2 harness and a DSR1, it will reprogram the radio, give you a variable voltage output, perfectly flat, to go into a DSR1, which is a $250 DSP, which is, or $60, something like that. Great value, awesome DSP, sounds fabulous. The quirk for that, because like I said, nothing is perfect, is just getting to the program part of it, to where there's 3 flashes you have to do on it, and it's 100% Bluetooth. But once you've gotten past all that, it works flawlessly. It's awesome. I love it. You can plug that into this, and then you have 8 channels. So you're basically turning your factory radio into an 8-channel DSP output that you can go to anybody's equipment. Anybody's. You can also use this right now. Currently, you can use this with the Audison and the ARC. Audio control is so close. But yeah, so there you go. So something else to think about. But if you just want to plug in, keep in mind, if you're going to be using load resistors, it's only when you totally take the speaker off the line. So if you're just adding like a sub into the system, and you're going to be tapping it into one of the 2 front door speakers, you do not need load resistors, because the speaker is actually the load. So you just tap in, call it a day. So if you're doing something like a key lock or something like that, off of that, you're good. I like Pepsi, but wouldn't turn down a free Coke. How do you feel about that one, Fernando?
Hey, I'm the same way.
You wouldn't turn down a free Pepsi?
No. If I'm thirsty, I would drink it. It doesn't mean I like it. I drink it. Whatever.
If I'm starving and someone throws me a cracker.
Yep.
Greeting from Kenya. What's going on? Doesn't the Dayton DSP have a lot of floor noise? There again, I don't know. I don't care anymore. Cotton candy peeps or root beer? Oh, root beer for sure. I will tell you that Fernando's kids got the leftovers, and they liked cotton candy and watermelon. Mm-hmm. Right?
Wow, just one. The other one, like just candy.
Just cotton candy. Well, yeah, Naomi just like cotton candy, right?
Yeah, Naomi.
Because she doesn't like watermelon.
She doesn't like watermelon.
Yeah, so.
And a candy. She eats the fruit.
Yes.
But she doesn't eat the candy.
It kind of falls into the Laffy Taffy. Oh, that's what Haley got me. Haley got me a bunch of banana Laffy Taffies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's that one in my Easter basket. She's such a good kid. Dean, output voltage on the DM608 RCAs, 10 volts or 5 volts? Going with an LC 1.800. I changed it to 10 volts and got distortion at the amp and gains all the way down. Yeah, don't do that. You don't need that. Just 5 volts. Keep it simple. 5 volts, man. The 10 volts is for a high level input on the amplifier, and you don't need 10 volts going into that amplifier. You're going to get a lot of distortion, because on an audio control, the high level inputs on the amplifier are different than the low level inputs. So if we look at this, you have to keep in mind what input is for which. So this is the high level input here, and it would see 10 volts as high level, not line level. So you would actually need to run 10 volts into this, which I would never do. I would just go 5 volts into these, and it'll work fine. Some amplifiers are all designed differently on that one, but I want to add a sub to a 2020 Chevy Equinox. What do I need to do? Obviously you're gonna need some form of a high level to low level adapter if it's a 2020. I would check out maybe getting something like a key lock. That'll allow you to do some de-equalization, flatten out the signal, and you'll be all set and ready to go. Think about switching from two 12s to a single 15. Go with ported or sealed.
That the 12s are sealed?
Yeah. What? Okay, so it's a spectacular question, but not an easy answer. It just depends what the 12s are doing, why you'd want to go to a 15. Because a 15, depending on the type of music you listen to, you might not like. However, you might like. So if like you listen to a lot of hip hop or stuff with an accentuated bass note, going to a 15 in a ported enclosure is going to be fabulous. However, the 212s may be louder if they were ported, but if they were sealed, it's going to be tough. There again, it also depends on how big the 15 is in relationship to what series of 12s you had.
It's big. It's
so
15.
I can tell you this, years and years ago when I was building boxes, we had a guy come in with a Tahoe and he wanted at the time we sold a lot of Diamond Audio. Diamond Audio used to make the Hex series neodymium giant woofers, and they had basically transmission lines that they recommended you build. So I built this guy the giant 215s transmission line 15s box for the back of his Tahoe. We put a boatload of power on it, and it played very deep, very loud. The first thing he gets in and plays country music. And I'm not talking like hip hop or any of that stuff that existed. We're talking back in the early 2000s, all right? It sounded like a 10, A10, not two 10s, A10. I'm like, what are you doing? Now we quickly changed it and played the hip hop, as it were, and it blew the car apart. But he was like, oh. And I was like, dude. So you kind of got to think it all the way through. What would the word of the street be? Dean, tell Paul to check his email. I will. That audio control, no more than 6 volt line in, 5 volt max, 5 volt like Dean said. Yes. I went to 215s and hate it. And that's what I was just talking about. So yes. Good mid bass to pair with the C3CX.
C3X.
Which one is the C3CX? Is that the Illusion? So when Nick paired with it, he paired the Focal Flax with it. Which if you give Orca a call, or if you are buying from an authorized dealer, they should be able to get you a set of Focal Flax from Parts, mid bass. However, if you have the room, the Illusion 8-inch and the good way to mount it, the Illusion 8-inch would be really nice. But something along those lines. Hick hop, yeah, I love it, right? Yeah, there you go, Fro. New Accord, Access DSP and LC115. Yeah, okay. Getting floor noise. Any ideas why? Set gains with the amp. Okay. Fernando and I had this discussion the other day because he was curious of why some of these systems, like this one in particular, is going to have some forms of floor noise. And the easiest way to explain it is like this. Even though you have something that can reprogram the radio to give you a digital out, or give you RC outputs, you're still relying on either A, a plastic box, or B, reprogramming something. Either way, you're doing something that the factory never intended with the quality of components that they decided to use. So for example, if the signal to noise ratio on the component that you're tapping into was lousy, which I can tell you from the factory it was, because the factory had only intended for you to put the 15 to 20 watts, if you're lucky, that the factory amplifier had on it. You're not doing that. You're taking that signal and you're multiplying it by a factor of 5 to 10, meaning if the factory amplifier had 25 watts and then you're going to give it 120 watts, that's a factor of roughly 5. So you now have to multiply the quality of components and the output signal by 5. So at 25 watts, you got almost no floor noise because there was no volume. Now you're asking it to do 5 times the amount of volume, meaning 5 times the amount of sensitivity that you had previous. Well, along with the signal being amplified, the floor noise that was created in that signal, or distortion, or whatever you want to call it, but mainly floor noise, background noise, is also going to be amplified. So think of it as a, here's the noise, or here's the signal, the noise, or here's the signal, here's the noise. Now you have this much signal, you're going to have that much noise to go with it. So that's why when we say it's always a trade-off. You get to keep your factory radio and you get to have all the fun you want with it. However, you're not necessarily going to get the wine and cheese to go with it. There's going to be situations where floor noise is going to be an issue. It's going to be there. The bigger amplifier you go with, the lower you can keep the gain. The likelihood of you getting floor noise is reduced, but you're always going to have some kind of floor noise when integrating into a factory radio, even with these adapters. It's just what it is. We're not there yet. We're really freaking close, but we're not there in it yet. Dean, can I pay you for advice on planning a factory upgrade in my 2004 4Runner with JBL I installed, but I need to use a bypass factory amp? I don't know if you need to pay me. It's just a matter of me being able to spend time and do it. Yeah, I matched the output voltage of 6 volts and the 10 volt jumper position, but it's still distorted. Tried to achieve max. Dude, I can tell you right now, I have never moved those jumpers ever. Never have I moved those jumpers. So I would definitely put the jumpers back and leave it alone. Does Paul ever answer? As far as I know, we're not over there. So he is 2 stores away from us. I have no idea what he has going on over there. So I don't get to go over there very often, so I can only assume what happens over there. I have no idea. System design asked, okay. Can I fit a 7-inch mid bass in a 2007 11 Camry? Already have 6.5s. I mean, I would assume yes, if you're looking at like going with the Kenwoods. They come with a spacer to do that, so yeah, I think it should be okay. We have to run wires to those, or just down into the thing, and we can grab it there. Okay, perfect. It's like boosting a radio. Yuck. Yes. No, thank you. It's country time. How separated should RCAs be from power cable? It's funny. This is a topic that Kip and I talked about on the kicker thing the other night. All right, so check it out. This is the driver's side of this F-150. These are all power cables that are doing something, either lights or other nonsense in the car. This is a solid bundle of power cable that goes all the way to the back side of the car. This is also the side of the car. We're gonna run a dual 0 gauge up. So we don't have a lot of room on this side of the car. As you can see, it gets a little bit smaller back here. So whatever's happening is this, so majority of those wires are either for this side of the car here. Now, if this was a sedan, where there was no wiring run underneath the car, then this bundle would be huge, okay? But because it's a pickup truck, they do have a main power harness that runs along the back side of this to power all these other things up. Now, when we come over here and we look at this side of the car, we have an even bigger bundle, and this one is orange. I don't know why. And there again, it does this, and it's gonna come into here, and when we get back to this side, there's some more wiring there, so who knows what that's going to. So basically what I'm getting is we have 2 giant bundles of wire on this side of the car and that side of the car. These are all power wires of some kind. We have to run our RCAs down one side of the car or the other. Most of the time, your amplifier that you're using has adequate shielding for whatever this car is going to radiate in noise. That's what buying a better amplifier gives you. It gives you that shielding, that protection, that smart technology built into it. So when you're buying a branded amplifier at a price point, one of the things that they're going to do is engineer it and take that into account, that cars are not perfect. However, when you buy a lesser priced amplifier that doesn't have that stuff built into it, so for example, like a $100 amplifier, it's going to be noisy. And it's just because it wasn't engineered to take these things into account. It's just an amplifier. So, buying something like this audio control amplifier, they know, they've done the research. They have the engineers that design this and figure this stuff out. and they put things in the amplifier. That's what all of this nonsense is. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for good sound and not having to worry about where my RCAs are ran. In this particular car, we're going to put the power down this side and we're going to put the RCAs down that side. We're doing it more because there's just not enough room to run everything down one side. So how far do your RCAs need to be away from your power wire? Honestly, anymore, I have not had a problem with RCAs in a car, I will today, in a long time. So, all right. The DSR doesn't have a optical out. The DSR has a digital in, but it does not have an optical out. The reason why it doesn't is because why would you need an optical out of the processor? You need a digital in or an optical in, because it's your source unit that is delivering your signal from source unit back to distribution, which is your DSP. And then if you have a full DA system, which is like an Audison, that has optical out, then you would need amplifiers that have optical in, which there are very few. So it does have a digital in. It has a coaxed digital in. It's the orange RCA. If you have a radio that has an optical out, you can buy a optical to coax converter off Amazon to switch the two. However, keep in mind that I probably wouldn't do that, because depending on your source unit may have a better digital to analog converter built into it than the DSR-1 has. So you have to always weigh that out. So like if you have a Kenwood Exelon XR series radio, that's got a way better DAC built into it for doing that than the DSR-1 does. So that always has to be taken in consideration. Like the reason Sony has the GS9, it has a digital out, but you don't use it because the DAC that's in it, the Sabre DAC that's in it, that's the reason why you're buying it, because that's a badass DAC. So you're going to RCA out to whatever you do because you want that to do the conversion, not this little black box in the back of the car. So that's one of those things that everyone has to, we're just starting to get people to think about and understand how that all works. It is cool, but in some cases it can actually be more detrimental than cool. Okay, that being said, thanks so much for playing along with us today. Tonight at 6:30, Facebook. Make sure to tune in because it's the Monday night show and we're gonna talk about cool things and answer cool questions. We got a great topic tonight of time alignment, and of course we got something cool to look at, which is always fun. So make sure to tune in tonight. And with that, Fernando.
Bye, guys.
You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Good afternoon, everyone. How's everybody doing today? Fernando is somewhere else, so before you ask, he's not here at the moment, but we have his fuse holder present, so it's like having a little piece of him here. This is the F-150 we started yesterday. We just wrapped it up. We have the 0 gauge fuse mount done, and it's connected, dual 0 gauge running across the front here. So this part of the install, actually the whole install is done. We were just waiting to close this. So there you go. Bye, Mr. Fuse Holder, Mr. Big 0 gauge. All right, so this guy is done, wrapped up. It has the F-250 mirrors on it. That's pretty cool. I guess it's, it's more or less the same cab. In the back, we have the audio control with the FXE Flax series. So those are in and all buttoned up. He went with 2 Comp RTs up underneath the seat and a Rhino-lined box. I can't remember who makes that, but anyways, maybe it's Q-Power or somebody like that, but it's a nice box. Nice box. Very well built, very ported. Lots of bass coming out of that. And then up in the front doors, got the logos are in place. everything's back together. There's the new bass knob mount. So that looks really nice. I like that. I like the wider square look as opposed to the thinner one we were doing in the past. Plus we got to add the F-150. We can do, it's modeled for either the standard ACR2 or ACR3. So if we need to do the ones with the lights, we just turn it on in the software, so they're already there. Makes life real easy. The other grill, but yeah, this one is done and all put back together. We're gonna deliver it here shortly. Not much. I mean, you guys have all seen dozens of F-150s. I have not screwed this back on yet. So we did make a nice mount for the AR. So the AR is mounted right there, bolted it in place, so you don't have to worry about it clunking around in the dash. So that's kind of cool. We have a Honda Accord without amp sub. Do you really have to use a DSP audio control amps? Saw them in the truck. You can use whatever you like. I mean, that's entirely up to you. We like to use those, but no, you don't have to. It's entirely up to you as far as the level of what stereo you want to go with. Audio Control does have the new LC5 1300, which is their 5-channel amp. That would be perfect up underneath the passenger seat in that car if you don't want to do DSP. Dean, more DSR1 issues today when I turned the aftermarket head unit off. Turned the head unit off. The DSR1 didn't turn on the amp. Turn the amp off. That's strange. I mean, I know in this, a lot of you guys ask about that. And actually this next week, we're gonna be talking about remote turn on. So we'll turn this one on, wake it up. So this is woke up now. I just turned on and off the key. If we come back here, the key's off. Oh, I didn't leave it on long enough. All right, let's see if we can leave it on. All right, so let's turn this on for a second. Let's wait for them to turn on. Come on, you can do it. Oh, audio's off. Source. Okay. Oh, I put the covers back on so you can't see the lights. All right, so yeah, all right, so there we go. All right, so we'll shut the car off here. Car's off. And we'll come back here and we flip it around. So radio just powered down, keys out. As you can see, the amplifiers are still on. These are gonna stay on for, I think, another 35 to a minute and a half. These will stay on. And then they'll just shut off, which is kind of weird because you'll be working on it and then they'll just like go dark. You can see them better when the lights are on, but that takes a couple minutes there for that to happen. So we can come back to that. But that's normal for those. But yeah, that's weird if it was doing it before and then it just all of a sudden stopped. When you make the plug that you used on the BO for sale, the plug that we use for the BO is already for sale from Amp. So you can, it's their, yeah, they already make that. I thought I had the model, the part number in the, but yeah, we just, it's an Amp factory part. So you can get it from PAC. It's for their Ford kit to go into the BO system. So I think if you just go on to Amp Global or go on to pac-audio.com and look up that like 2018 Ford F-150 and find that dash kit, there'll probably be a parts list there and you can just pick that one part up. If you can't find it anywhere, you can always give Paul a call. Maybe he'll ship one out to you. But it's just a regular part. The only thing we do is we cut off the Zen harness and solder on ours. So that's really the only thing we're doing. We're not really making anything. Hertz DC two-way components run active off an ACM 4300. Too much power? No, I think that'll be fine. Just keep in mind that the 4300 doesn't have a high pass crossover high enough for that tweeter. So that'll be the only downside to that. So hopefully you're going with some form of an external DSP or whatever. Does the AR piece work for Ford BO systems? It does not work for Ford BO systems. That does not exist yet. Have you looked at the 18 speaker Unleashed? No, we haven't looked at the new 18 speaker Unleashed yet. I haven't had time. I gotta be honest with you, I haven't had time to do much of anything. But I remember you telling us about it last week, so How can I send you guys a picture of a problem that I'm having with my Pioneer AVH 4000 NEX? Man, I gotta tell you, if you're having a problem with your 4000 NEX, we've probably seen it. And I can tell you right now, it's just because it's end of life. Keep in mind, anytime you buy a head unit, you get 3 years, man. That's it. Anything past that, it's just, you're on borrowed time. I know that doesn't sound really exciting for a radio that costs $400 or $500, but 3 years is all you get. We ran into that same problem. I had the old, what was it called? This 610 or the 210? I don't remember. It was the, it was the app radio is what it was called. And it's been sitting in a box on the shelf over here for like a year and a half. Never used, just sitting there. We plugged it in the other day and it came up with something, basically it was dead. I was like, oh man, you gotta be kidding me. 2 days later, a friend of mine called me with the same thing. Coincidence? I don't know. I don't know. You okay, man?
Yeah.
Look who it is. Sweaty. Here he goes. What's with the foam? You need the foam? Are we gonna do karate? Break the foam, give it to Sebastian, make him feel like he's a ninja?
Yeah.
Break the boards! Break the boards, Johnny! Break the boards! You alright? Get a bottle of water, man. Get a bottle of water. Do you have to pull the Maestro out to reprogram it and Alpine 2000 switch kits? Yes. Anytime you do anything with a AR or RR for that matter, anything Maestro always has to be reprogrammed. So depending on the card or the radio, you have to reprogram it. It's just because, as you've seen on the new website, it allows you to go in and check the firmware. Now, if you had, let's say, a 2000 Chevy pickup truck and you put it in a 2000 Chevy pickup, or if you had the same year, make, and model, obviously you can just switch them out. But otherwise, now you can go and check to see if it is the same firmware. So if like you had one within the same 2 or 3 model year, then you wouldn't have to change anything. Or if it was the same plug, you may not have to change anything. You may want to change something just because they may have an updated piece of software, which there again, from the new website, you can go in and type in the serial number off of your RR or AR, see what firmware is on it, and of course you can go now and check to see what firmware is current, and also check the instruction manual. So you can do all that stuff now online, which is you couldn't before. So it's way easier, way awesome. I'm basically obsessed with your channel. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Scrolling down. All right, let's just shoot. What I miss? We were just talking about the F-150 that we finished up. You know what? It's been sitting here for a couple minutes. Let's check to see if the amplifiers have shut off, which by now I'm assuming they should have. And there you go. So they're dead as can be. Let's see what happens when I open the door. All right, open the door, rear door, and there we go. They just turned it back on because we woke up the body control module. The body control module is like, oh my gosh, they're gonna take us for a ride. Yes, we're going for a ride. Woo, high fives everyone, let's get ready to play. And now it's sitting there and it's just waiting. You know, it's turned on some of these lights and it's waiting and it's hoping, and we're gonna disappoint it. So in a couple of the lights just shut off because they're like, you suck. And so now the amplifier's going and it's like, do I stay on? What do I do? Let's take a look and see what it did. It's still on. So the amplifier's got hope. It's thinking, oh man, there's a chance. There's a chance I might take it. I might take it. It's out of luck, man. Hey, question, can you fit Focal K2s in 2017 Honda Accord? Actually, yes. Yes, can. We have one scheduled at some point in the month to come. We're actually going to be doing the KRX2s, which is the bigger Focal tweeter. So in the K2 line or the Kevlar line, they make 2 different size tweeters, make a small one and a big one. And we're going to be going with the bigger tweeter because we had a set and we test fitted to make sure it would fit in there. So yeah. What audio control amps are in there? That is the D 4.800. So you got the D 4.800 and the LC 1.800. Basically this amp is feeding this amp to keep it on, and the lights are still on, so it's still waiting for the truck to go back to sleep. So right now it's just sitting there idle. Been following you guys for a while. You're the best in such Florida. I have a question. I have a PRV 8-inch door speaker. How much will you charge me to install them? I honestly don't know. It depends on what kind of car it is. Depends on what kind of bracket we have to make. It all just depends. That's really all I got on that one. So, you know, is it a car that the 8-inch can go behind, or are you gonna need door panels made? Because if you need door panels made, we don't really do that. It's not our thing. You know, so if it's a pickup truck and it has a 6x9 and we can fit the 8-inch in there, then yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Yeah. How's it going from Arizona? Should I use a Cyber 12K limitless lithium or ultra capacitor 12 volt group 31? I'm not a fan of capacitors, and I gotta tell you, from what I've been seeing with the lithiums, they're pretty impressive. I mean, I'm a fan of battery power, so I'm gonna lean more towards the battery. 2017 Lexus IS200T with an LC2i humming noise coming when turning car off. Any ideas? When you turn the car off, it goes. If that's what it's doing, you may have. So it's like a negative feedback loop that just happens randomly in certain situations, and mainly what the solution for it is trying to find an actual accessory power to turn it on and off and not use the DC offset. It's a tough one. Sometimes you can also just use I know this sounds very weird, but sometimes you can just use a noise filter, and that will strip away that ground that's coming in there and solve the problem. It's yeah. We get that every now and then, and it's just annoying because you have to kind of keep working around to figure out what the problem is. As long as it's not the ANC, which it probably isn't. Did you ever play the Blam? Did you ever play with the Blam speakers? Also, a recommendation on Group 34 battery. As far as batteries go, I mean, we typically just deal with the Stinger batteries. That's all we have. As far as the Blam stuff, we've only heard them at Knowledge Fest. And of course, we met Guy, the owner of the company, great guy. It's nice stuff. That's really all I got for that. I mean, I don't think anyone has ever been disappointed with it. Scion XD. Ooh. I'd have to see what the brackets look like for that to see if those would fit. What's the difference between friction tape and Tessa tape? Friction tape, I'm assuming you're talking like hockey tape or something like that, is just... honestly, I don't know. I've never used it. I just used the Tessa stuff. The Tessa stuff is made. I mean, I've had guys sit there and say, "Oh no, I buy this cheap, you know, hockey tape and wrap it around stuff, and you know, it works great. It's waterproof. It's this, it's that." I don't know. I don't really think it's the same stuff. I mean, we have two different types of tape. Honestly, at the end of the day, I really don't think it matters. There's no tape police that are gonna say, "Oh my God, you didn't use the right tape." It's tape. It's black tape. You know, this is the normal Tessa tape. It's black here on the inside. You can't rip it. You got to cut it with scissors. This is the fleece stuff that's fuzzy. This is the interior. This is the exterior, high temp. Most of the stuff we do use the high temp. I'm not a big fan of this stuff. This is the stuff that you see in cars that kind of gets gooey after time. I mean, yeah. Do you have more info on the infinite baffle sub adapter you made to block the hole on the Ford? Information-wise, there's not much to really talk about. We use the Pitha, Fernando? We use the Pitha. We used a piece of 16th inch ABS and or Sentra. So we just used a substrate that was made out of 16th inch. You know, the diameter of it, and then what you do is you take a piece of sound treatment, which is like this stuff here, that is about 1.5 inches bigger than the piece that you just cut out of plastic, and you take it, and if you want to go one step further, you can also put a piece of like foam around it, like weather gasket, like the stuff you see us always use on the speakers. So this stuff right here, this stuff, little thin water gasket stuff, but yeah, I mean, this is just like 100% overkill, because the sound, once you get it on there and you rub all that butyl in, and you got 1.5 inches of black butyl on there, there's no water coming through that. That's basically it. We do that for that. We also do that anytime we have to take those vents out of the back of the trucks. You know, so when you close the door, they have little flappers. There's typically 2 inside of a pickup truck. In certain pickup trucks, it's easier just to remove one of them so that you have room for the subwoofer enclosure. So it's kind of a normal thing. Yeah, because the 4000 is showing on the screen. Software error when I hook it up. That's exactly it. Software error. Yep, it's dead. That's what the app radio was showing us. It said software error, and it was just, that was the end of the road. So I think a good question for you, if I buy a newer car and it's the same one that you have and you want to use all your equipment on it, can you transfer your wiring, or should you put new data harness? Okay, as far as the data harness goes, data harness to data harness, it's the same thing. So like if I have an RR that I put in this vehicle, and then let's say 3 years from now he gets a new vehicle, as long as that RR or harness or pack module or metro module, as long as they're all current models and there's no difference, it may need a firmware update, or you know, to get it up if they've ran into any problems over the last 3 years. And as long as it's still within the processor, meaning they didn't change the processor inside the module, which they really don't do all that often, so you don't have anything to worry about there, there's no reason to not reuse that portion of it. You may need a new harness because maybe they changed the harnesses between now and then, but if it's the same harness, no. Now when it comes to the actual wires, like your RCAs, those I'm not real keen on recycling an RCA. That's entirely up to you. I'm not a big fan of doing that, only because that RCA's been in the car for a while. I don't know what it's been sitting on. It could have been rubbing on, tugging on, something could have been pinched. Wow, mosquito? No kidding. So I don't like reusing RCAs. In my mind, RCAs are one-time use only, unless you've got like a really super expensive set of RCAs and you're just like, no, I want to use these. In which case, like, okay. But most people don't do that. Most people just buy a normal RCA. RCAs are inexpensive enough to where it just makes more sense to buy that. Now, when it comes to power wire, if it's the same car and you're gonna put this stuff in the same place, I would just inspect the power wire to make sure that it wasn't, there's no notches in it anywhere. Because sometimes what you'll find is you'll, like on a piece of wire, it'll be sitting on something and it'll like put a notch into it. Think of it like a piece of carpet that's had an end table sitting on it for 4 years and there's a divot now in the floor. You don't want divots in your power wire, or if you do, you may want to make sure you put a little bit of insulation over that. That's why we cover all our wires from front to back with Tech Flexes to prevent stuff like that. But that's up to you. So that's the easier short answer for that. Figure out my static issue on the Chimes channel using the GGM3 harness going to a DSR1. The gray connector on the harness was causing the issue. Disconnect that, and it went away. Oh, that's cool. So should I just run a remote wire to it? There's a chance that you could run a remote wire to it and it goes away. The easiest way to test that is when you turn the car off, disconnect the remote. When you turn the car, okay, so here's what you want to do to test that. You would want to turn off, all right, was it LC2I? All right, hold on. So on the LC2I, hold on. IQ base threshold, GTO. So on that, it has the GTO bypass or enable. So you'd want to move the jumper to bypass. And then what you'd want to do is take a piece of, like a scrap piece of wire and go out of the constant 12 volts and into the remote turn on and turn it on. And then have somebody turn off the car. And as they turn off the car, disconnect the wire and see if it doesn't do it. If it doesn't do it, then yes, run your remote turn on wire will solve the problem. But you can test for that before you actually go through the heartache of running a whole remote turn on wire and find out that doesn't work. Okay, thanks. You let me know. I get a chance. No problem. The Tessa tape is 15 miles from my house in New York. Well then, use the other stuff. Hi from Italy. What's going on? Where do you want to wire through the car? 2015 Nissan Altima 2.5 power ground. Thanks. Nissan Altima, you got to pull out the emergency brake, right? Or the power, or the gas pedal. Emergency brake or gas pedal?
The emergency brake.
Okay, so on the Nissan Altima, you got to pull out the emergency brake. There's a grommet behind that, or you drill behind it?
No, you drill behind it.
So when Fernando gets an Altima in, he cringes a lot, doesn't look excited, and he drills a hole through the pulls out the emergency brake and drills a hole.
Yeah, it's
Why do I feel there's something else that's supposed to be there?
It is.
Oh, we have more boxes of wire too. Did you grab all those?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. All right, hold on, let's see. Safe, mid-bass, crossover, active, Milli Pros. What's the minimum should run those tweeters at? Milli Pros. Do you remember what the FS is on the Milli Pro? Honestly, I don't remember what the FS is on the Milli Pro. I believe it's in the owner's manual. So typically we start at the top at the tweeter. So whatever the FS is for the tweeter, multiply that by 2. So let's just say for like it was 12,000, it'd be 24,000. Your mid-range, you're probably going to want a crossover somewhere around 350, and then whatever the tweeter is, and then the mid-bass would be from whatever that 350 is on down. All right, hold on.
That's fine. Hold on.
Yeah. I got it. You don't have to do it all by yourself.
I got it.
Okay. Let's just stand and watch. Oh, he's amazing. He's amazing. You're the man, Fernando.
It's just wire, man.
Just wire. Okay. Is the auto control 3.2 any good? Oh, the little EQ. Oh, those are pretty cool. I mean, if you need, yes, it's probably one of the best sounding little Hafton EQs out there. The problem, if that's a problem, is that most people want some form of a bigger, like a 7 or 8 band, and they only want to pay like $99 for it. So if you want a good one with no noise, yes, that's the way to go. Oh, hey, it's Haley. What's up, Haley? Yep, that's me, Dean's daughter.
That's us.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, yeah, whatever. Have you had a chance to listen to Jeff's car and how amazing it is? No, actually. Have you listened to his car? Wait, you know what? We did listen to his car for like 5 minutes when we lasered the fuse holder thingies.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I mean, not like extensively, and he changes it like every week anyway. So, did you run the power and ground from the battery on the BO Ford, and did you go through the firewall or under it? Yes, we ran the power and ground on the Ford BO, and we went through the grommet. We did not go underneath it. Surprisingly, there's a lot of room in the running board once you pull up the floor sills. So in the F-150, we just go power ground and then the bass knob wire, and that's all that comes down this. And there's actually plenty of room for it to fit. And then there's a giant grommet that's like this big on the firewall that has plenty of room for both zero gauges to come through. C12 Productions in the house. Will you be using the Phoenix Gold Elite 9 in the Mustang or ever? Probably never. No, probably not. At some point, I'll probably just either hang it on the wall or sell it. What amp would you recommend for the Morel Hybrid 63 Active for best performance? Maybe the LC 61200 would be kind of nice. That'd be a lot of power. That would be nice. Yeah. Yeah, Fernando's shaking his head. Are we out of wire?
8-gauge wire.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Black.
Is the big 3 worth doing? The big 3 may be worth doing. Okay, not every. See, a lot of people think that doing the big 3 all of a sudden they're going to get a lot more power out of the car, and that's not the case. Basically, what they're doing is they're putting bigger pipes in there so that if there is an opportunity for it, and also if there's a ground plane issue, by adding all the extra grounds, they'll fix that. I feel upgrading the ground plane, if your car can accept it, is the better way to go, is like the most important part of the big 3. The alternator wire to the battery, you know, like a big zero gauge is what everyone loves to do. Yeah, I mean, if you have a little 8 gauge going over there and you got a big system, replacing it with a bigger power wire is definitely not a bad idea. The thing you have to be careful with is, depending on the vehicle, what is the charging system doing? Because now with these smarter vehicles, even this F-150, it monitors all that stuff. And when you go and you start changing it, different things can happen, and like it can cause problems with the car. So you have to be careful when starting to muck amuck with that type of thing. I get a hiss through my speakers, but it goes away when gain is set to 0. Is there a problem with the head unit? Not necessarily a problem with the head unit per se. I mean, obviously turning the gain down, you've just done away with all the floor noise that you have that could be created from it. If you have a good 4-volt head unit, then, you know, and you have the gain set properly, and I only say that because, like, you know, let's say you set it up for 0 dB of gain overlap and you still have floor noise, or the gain hiss as you call it, may just need more power and or a better amplifier. I mean, it's weird, you know, not, some people are really sensitive to this. The other thing too that you have to keep in mind is, what tweeters do you have? If you have a super sensitive pair of tweeters, it's like, for example, if you've set a horn tweeters at like 103 dBs of sensitivity, you're going to hear every little mouse fart that comes from that amplifier with those, as opposed to what you'd get out of the mid-range, just because they are so efficient and they are picking up everything that amplifier is creating. So that's also part of the thing. Can you use the main out and the sub out from an LC2i? Exactly, yes you can. That's exactly what it's for. The idea behind the LC2i was that, let's say you grab a set of your front speakers and you can, you know, front, left, and right, you can have the sub output on it, which will give you the AccuBass to fix the bass roll off, and then you can use the main output, or the front, whatever, the extra set of outputs to go off to an amplifier for your mids and highs. So it's like the ultimate front stage upgrade. It allows you to have like a 4-channel amp, half on highs, half on sub. Okay, other choices other than audio control for what, amplifiers? We did a car not too long ago that had the B2 audio 6-channel in there that was pretty nice. He was running some Morel, Maximos, the 3-way Maximo set. You have a bigger, much bigger power. 6-channel amplifiers, Fernando. Oh, you could go with the Ground Zero 6-channel that we have sitting over here. That's what we're going to use to power Fernando's, but we're going to use it as a 5-channel, but he has the hybrids in his car. So we're going to be using 1 and 2 for front, 3 and 4 for mid, and then 5 and 6 bridge to subwoofer, and it has the bias control on it that allows you to adjust how you want the AB class to work, if you want it to work more like a Class A amplifier or more like a Class B amplifier, which is pretty nice. Do you know the model number on that one, or the series?
No, I think uranium.
Oh, it's uranium. Thank you. So the Ground Zero uranium 6-channel amplifier. Other 6-channel amplifiers. Ooh, Alpine has their new Type R 6-channel amplifier that has staggered power, which is really nice. It also has the passive crossovers if you wanted to do that. If you wanted to go obviously full active. It has staggered power, so 1 through 4 are half the power of 5 and 6, which is wonderful when you're doing a 3-way set. Of course, if you're a fan of Kicker makes a couple 6-channels and an 8-channel. They make an 8-channel marine amp that we've used in the past for it, where we'll bridge the 4 or 5 and 6, 7 and 8. They don't have the they don't have the active crossover control though. Follow up on when do you have to add a second run of 0 gauge? That is a wonderful question. When you have more amperage than, okay, so you have to, all right, it's simple enough. It's all math. So when you have for example, let's say you have 2 amplifiers. Let's say we have the 61200 and the 1500. You have to figure out, okay, how long is this piece of wire? It's 19 feet. What size wire, or how long can I get and how much amperage can I have off of that wire So at 19 feet, both of those amplifiers, it's like 2 something. 300 amps is probably enough, so then I'd be fine. But if I added another 1500, then I'd probably need to run a second 0 gauge. So yeah, but using the PowerWire calculator, which you can just go on and Google PowerWire calculator, and there's a bunch of them. Kicker has one on their site that'll help you out, and that's really how you're going to do it. How much amperage, true amperage too. So remember, on your 4-channel amp, it's set up when they put their fuses in there, they're basically telling you what that amperage draw is going to be at 2 ohm, and if you're running at 4 ohm, it's not going to be the 80 amps of current draw that's on the side of the amplifier. It's going to be less. Not half, but it's going to be less. Can you recommend door speakers for 2017 Tahoe? They will be paired with 2 Kicker L715s. Some Rockford T2s. Those are like super loud. Some of the Hertz SPL shows. Or any loudspeaker for that matter, from any one of those brands, like PRV or Suns. I honestly can't think of all of them at the moment. Could I commission you to an amp rack for my Tahoe to come up? Probably not. All right, what was that? Oh crap. All right, so we just lost a bunch of stuff. AP sub GM61. All right, hold on, I didn't see the first part of the question. AR sub IP sub, do you have them in stock? I'll call if needed. No, we do not have them in stock. No one has them in stock right now. The chip manufacturer burned to the ground, and so they're, no. I think we might have the 6-channel, but the sub one is really hard to come by right now. Hey, Cody writes, what's going on? We put the 6 Alpine R, Type R, in my F-150 Super Crew with a Zapco 7K, and we built 5, 6, okay, it's a mid-bass, clips. Okay, that sounds like a lot of stuff. That's a pretty big system. I have a 2016 Taurus, and I am confused why the center channel is excluded when the speakers are upgraded. What do you recommend for putting in a sub box? So the reason why they typically exclude the center channel when you're upgrading is it depends. Okay, so if you're using like an Amp Pro or something like that, it will. The center channel in a Sony system is upmixed from the Sony amplifier, meaning they have a processor in there that is creating a center channel output that is only done through the Sony amplifier or the Bang & Olufsen amplifier, depending on which one it has. If you have a standard system where it has the center channel but no outboard amplifier, that is not an upmixed dash speaker. That is merely Ford providing you with just another speaker output to power up that speaker so that they just don't have a hole in the dash. And they can also put on the sheet that now it has a 7-speaker stereo. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. There's no reason not to power it up if you're just doing a basic stereo, because that's essentially what was in there. However, if you're going to be doing a DSP or something like that, well then you have to, and I'm with you, I wish there was more manufacturers that would make amplifiers with center channel outputs, but right now the main reason for it is there's not a lot of DSPs out there that take into account a center channel, because it all falls back to, one, you need processing power, because remember, it's stereo, it's two-channel audio only. There is no mono track recorded in it, so you have to have something that can extrapolate a center channel and create sound for it and remove it from the other 2 speakers left and right. So if you're just going for overall system volume, then having a speaker in the center of the dash, not a bad idea. It's going to make sound, it's going to seem louder. But if you're trying to build an aftermarket system that has sound quality and you're like, I want a presence and I want to do all this other fun stuff, then you have to get something with an upmixer, which takes you into a really big price range. And there again, not an excuse other than to say, wow, that's a lot of money. if you're going to do a standard DSP with a 2C tune, time alignment will create the center image for you, for the driver. If you're worried about the passenger, which a lot of people don't, well then, yes, adding an upmixer of some kind in there and creating that center image and putting a center channel back in there is a good idea. But that's in a nutshell kind of what's going on there. Looking for the Phoenix Gold site today, and a lot has been discontinued. Have I missed something? Upcoming announcements? You have missed no upcoming announcements other than they have the new GX line, which is just a base model amplifier. It's a basic amplifier, meaning that it's a multi-channel, just standard amplifier. There's no DSPs. There's no big news coming from them anymore or at this time. They've essentially, they have the MX, the GX, and they're just going to kind of roll out with that for a while. They're not doing anything groundbreaking at the moment. So all the DSP has been discontinued. The bigger amplifiers have been discontinued. Some of the speakers have been discontinued. Mainly anything that's expensive has been discontinued because they don't see the benefit of it, and they don't have the fan base anymore to support those unique things that they were making. I guess is the easiest way to say it. And that's just my opinion on it. That has no bearing in fact or anything like that. It's just an outside observer looking in on what they're doing. It's still good stuff. It's just smaller amounts of stuff. So they didn't really do anything like, oh my God, did you see that? Which a lot of manufacturers honestly don't anymore. It's just like, hey, we made an amplifier. Who cares? How much difference is the sound between 32 and 37? It's 5 hertz. My ears aren't that sensitive anymore. Had the two 4-channel Macintosh 4-channel meters pushing 8-inch Macintosh components and other. Okay, I had some Mac amps back in the day too. 2020 RAM non-premium system pack amp pro to kicker key to power Exelon 6x9 components and coaxials in the rear. Rockford Fosgate T750 to a Foxbox ported 12s P3. Too much, or should I go with 210 P3s? I mean, just thinking about what you're doing for a front stage, I would probably roll back to the 210s unless you just want to have a ton of bass and just not hear your mids and highs, because I mean, you're basically that 750 watt amp is all of 750 watts, and the kicker key is only going to be 70 or 80 watts by 4. So though those speakers are efficient and you will get a lot of sound out of them, I mean, have the 212s and turn it down? It's a tough one. Okay. Is the Nav TV unit center channel upmixed? It is not. No, it's not. It's just an output to go into a DSP if it has a center channel input. Hey, can you check your DM? Probably not. Rockford T2s would be fine for a 2000 mi Yukon, 95 Yukon 2. They're a little big, so it is going to be a tight squeeze. You could probably get them into the front with a little bit of work on the door panel itself, just to open up the hole a little bigger so that the speaker will fit. I mean, we've done it, so yeah. Need some advice, please. Always bet on black? I don't know. Sad that PG isn't making dope shit anymore. They were my favorite old school brand. Absolutely loved my reactor. And there again, it's not that they're not making anything that is like one of a kind. We're the only people making it. I mean, but honestly, there's very few companies like that anymore. Most of these companies are they're playing it safe. They're just doing, what pays the bills and what they can sell. You gotta figure, it's like they gotta compete with everybody, and if they're not, I don't know, it's one of those weird things in the market where you have a lot of brands and different fans like different things, and right now the way the market is and the way people are buying amplifiers, it's tough. I mean, it's tough. You really have to have something that is you know, and there again, it's a gamble. If you make something that's really far right and just has like, oh, this awesome stuff, is anybody gonna buy it? And it's been in their experience that people aren't buying them. So like the Zen 9 was, you know, they made 100 of them and it took them a while to sell all 100. And then they had, you know, the bigger amps that came out after that, and there again, they ended up just discounting them all and blowing them out. So it hasn't been a good experience for them coming out with this unique stuff. So now it's like, all right, well, we're gonna dial it back and we're just gonna make normal amplifiers that aren't anything other than amplifiers. So I don't think it was a bad move, it was just a move. Is there any good trick to be had from the Rockford? So tricks, there's no tricks. Just that. Who sells 7/8" mid bass as just a driver? Several have as part of a component set. Check Hertz. I think Hertz makes a 7 or 8" driver. Audison makes a Prima line of 8" drivers. Ground Zero has all their speakers you can buy a la carte. Audio Frog you can buy a la carte. Actually, every speaker Audio Frog makes you can buy a la carte. So, and I think Illusion sells 8" a la carte. If you call Morel, they'll sell you anything you want a la carte. So yeah, it's a lot. Hey guys from Iowa, what's up? All right, we've been doing this long enough. I got some stuff I need to do. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed it. I hope we answered a bunch of questions, and that's about all we got. You guys have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Bye. Hey.
What's going on?
What's going on?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year?
I don't even know what are we doing.
I don't know either. What is, okay. Oh, we gotta put the floor mats back.
Yeah.
I think it's just my side.
Probably.
Yeah. Let's make sure to do that this time. Good afternoon, everyone. How's everybody doing today? We're just finishing up working on a Chevy. It's got a, look, these are CDs. Like, these are actual CDs. Like, a lot of them, too. Like, it's not like a small amount of CDs. Ooh, what is this? What is this? Oh, this is a kicker key microphone. What could that mean? That means these got a kicker key inside of it. Oh, don't want to forget this piece of carpet. So we have a Chevy Silverado 2018.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. And we have these two fuse holders up here. So we got this little tiny guy here and the bigger guy right there. Zip tied all across the front. Look at Fernando. Fernando goes crazy. I mean, look at this, man. He made this like way complicated fuse holder. Way to go. Inside the Chevy Silverado is a boom key system. So we got the kicker key, 400 or 200.4 and the 500.1. And this is that little butt seat right there. So that closes down. This opens up, lots of air. This is the top here. So there's a good amount of space above these amplifiers. These don't, I mean, we've buried these things in like this, we've buried inside of a dash before, but yeah, so there we go. We left some gappage there so that they can breathe. The wires just go out of the back. What we did is we took this whole center console out, made a board here onto the bottom. Whoa, hey. Zip tied everything into place. And then power wire comes out, goes underneath that seat, up in, over, around into the firewall. Giant factory grommet over here. Someone asked about that the other day. But yeah, there's a big grommet. Let's go underneath the hood and see what you can see from that angle. I need a video of this install. We have several videos of the Chevy stuff, but yeah. So here's the big grommet from the factory. You pull out the emergency brake, right? Oh no, you pull out the body control module. You just loosen it up and pull it back.
Yeah, you just move it a little bit.
Yeah. So
big grommet right there.
Big grommet right there. It has the audio enhancers 210s box. This is the high transmission hump. I hate the high transmission humps. They're just, they suck. But yeah, so that's that. Oh, hey, close the actual door. And so when you sit in here, you know, so you can see them, the direction of the amplifiers. You can be like, yo, bro, check out my stash spot. I got 2 keys. Do you consider 50 watts good power for the front? If you have efficient speakers, yes, 50 watts is spectacular for the front. If you have inefficient speakers, then 50 watts for the front would suck. So you always have to keep that in mind when designing a system. Like, these work really well with efficient speakers. It has the kicker 6x9 components, so it's the 6x9 and the 2.5-inch mid bass in the top. We could have done the KS at the time, though. I don't know if we had them or not, because I probably booked this like a month ago. So Amp Pro for the Chevy. Yes, there is an Amp Pro for the Chevy. However, this particular system was a 100% one day, extremely tight budget, and that's why we went all kicker key. So the kicker key is taking care of all of our issues for us. So the 200.4 is powering these and these speakers up here in the dash. So it's just an active front stage. So that's Kenwood Exelon 6x9-inch mid bass, the 2.5-inch, the C2s up here in the dash. And that is just getting powered off of this, and it's doing its EQ and DSP. He really wanted an EQ, he wanted a DSP, he wanted all those things, but it wasn't in the cards. So we went this way, Haley Special. That way we could take care of all the issues we were gonna have, you know, make it nice and sweet. Yes, I would have loved to do an Amp Pro, but we just didn't. And honestly, I don't know if this radio would have worked with it, because this is the basic radio. So I might have checked the QR code and it wasn't compatible with this. What he needs is a high 10 right here. That would be perfect, but it's not today. And then of course you have the 501 fixing all the bass roll off and stuff like that. Any chance fit to 3.5 in the dash? Yes, if you want to grind, then if you want to get in there and cut, there is plenty of room for it, and the grill is gigantic. So there's a lot. You could probably build a spacer if you don't want to cut the dash. You could probably build some form of a spacer and come out about 1 inch, because there is a ton of room up underneath that grill. To get the grill out though, you do have to pull. This is all one piece, but it's got a little tiny speaker and it's at an angle, so they like put it in there like this, so it's really nice. But it's got a huge grill, so yeah, you could fit a lot up in there. It's just a matter of how fun you want to get. Hey, from Sound Effects, what's happening? How's it going? We just ordered a kicker key from my brother's Tacoma. There you go. You're gonna have fun with that. Just audio video. Hey, what's going on? Best components for 1200.4 sound digital. That's plenty of power. You got tons of power. You can pretty much fit anything you want in there, depending on how crazy you want to get. It's 1200 watts. It is a ton of power. So just pick something you like. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there, and it'll power them all day long. Amp options for F-150 without auto stop start, without doing kicker, cue, or key bypass. I mean, when it comes to an F-150, there's a lot of options. Without knowing the year, you could do, if it's just a base model, no Sony, no B&O, you can do a DFO2 into a DSR1, and then that'll give you 8 preamp outputs from that radio. Which was the car that we did. If you look at Instagram on Monday, you'll see we did an F-150 and we were using the AR to reprogram the radio as a beta firmware that we were still playing with, because it's not totally done yet. But out of the DSR1 it is. So you can just plug the DSR1 into that and get 8 channels of output, however you want to configure it, and you can go into any amplifier you want, which makes life really sweet.